Fred Glenn Sanford was born in the great state of Missouri, in the friendly city of St. Louis. January 20th, 1907, Fred came into this world and would go on to change the city of Watts for the better. As a kid, Fred and his grade school buddy Grady would spend their days hanging around Sportsman Park watching their favorite baseball team, the St. Louis Browns. Another hobby Fred would take up was playing pool. As a teenager, Fred had to drop out of school to support his family's habit. They liked to eat. Fred would hustle others for money at the pool hall, but none more than Carol Rhodes, Fred's personal pigeon. Carol almost got Fred arrested while attempting a bank robbery. In the 1930s, Fred's good friend Bowlegs introduced Fred to a woman that would change his life, Esther Winfield. As much as Fred would go on to regret this move for the rest of his life, it did lead him to meeting the love of his life, Elizabeth Winfield. Fred was struck by the love bug instantly, but had one concern: Elizabeth's boyfriend. Fred was a good friend of Elizabeth's man, but he was away in the army. It didn't take long for Elizabeth to fall for Fred and his charming personality and amazing smile. Before you knew it, Fred and Elizabeth eloped and got married. Fred needed to start making more money. He was supporting for more than just one now. He gave up playing pool and took up moonshine and poker. Fred would always make money playing cards, but Elizabeth didn't know about the moonshine he and Grady ran on the side. Soon, Elizabeth was pregnant and wanted Fred to give up poker, find a more steady and professional job. Fred promised he would quit poker and find a job. Then, on September 27, 1940, Lamont Grady Sanford was born. Fred was so excited, he partied all day and night. Grady, Esther, and other family members were all there. Fred continued to sell moonshine on the side while he washed dishes in the days. Fred had been saving enough money on the side that he was able to start his own business, but it was not in St. Louis. Fred moved out to California, where the sun always shined and you could make a life for yourself. Fred moved to Watts in South Central LA. He was able to buy a home and business all in one place, 9114 South Central Avenue. Fred had started his own salvage yard. Fred quickly made friends as well, Melvin White and Bubba Bexley, two kind-hearted fellows that were perfect for Fred and his insults. Things were going so well for the Sanfords. Fred had done it, living the American dream and doing it the right way. But like so many things in life that can be unpredictable, tragedy struck the Sanfords in the worst possible way. Fred's queen, the love of his life, Elizabeth, tragically passed away. Life would never be the same. Fred didn't have much time for mourning. He had a 7-year-old boy that he had to raise and a business to maintain. To help out with raising Lamont, several of Elizabeth's sisters moved out to Southern California, including Esther and her new husband, Woodrow, better known as Woody. As much as Fred might appreciate the gesture, he never did care much for Elizabeth's family. Moving to California was one of the only ways to get away from the Winfields. Lamont enjoyed his time with his family and continued to do well in school. Things weren't as good with Sanford and Son salvage yard, as well as Fred. Fred was struggling to get the heavy objects, he couldn't work as well as he needed, and it might be time for a second hand. As well as Lamont was doing in school, Fred had a choice: lose the home and business, and Lamont has no home at all, or drop out to help keep the business and home going. Fred made the decision, and Lamont joined the business when he was 14. Sanford Salvage Yard was now Sanford and Son. Lamont enjoyed the work, excelled in his work, and Fred saw the business pick up. Lamont was able to drive at 15, despite no license. This allowed Fred to work around the home, clean, and coordinate as well. Lamont planned on helping until his early 20s, then he can go off and make a better life for himself. As Fred continued to age, he did less work and more TV watching with Melvin and Bubba. Fred continued to work as a boss, a father, and even a mother to Lamont. He was the whole damn family. Finally came the day, Fred's 65th birthday. He could retire, or so he thought. For the next few years, Fred and Lamont had some of the best moments a family could have. They had an amazing trip to Hawaii. They met such stars as Lena Horne, not to mention B.B. King, as well as former champion George Foreman. Lamont would eventually go to Alaska and strike it rich. In the meantime, Fred continued the business with a Texan named Cal. Upon Lamont's return in the early 80s, Fred sold the business and the home and moved to Florida with Lamont and Cal. It wasn't long before Lamont got married and had 2 kids, and Fred enjoyed his retirement. He is still there enjoying life. When it comes to TV world, legends never die.